Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Baker and this is my walkaway story. So I started out after 2 years in college. I became a liberal black feminist, and now at this current time I am a Catholic conservative. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering, how did I get here? How did I make this transition? You're going from the far left to extreme over on the right, somewhere over there on that spectrum. And what happened for me is I had a two-part story. So after I graduated from college, I graduated with 2 degrees, one in psychology and one in Black studies. And what I found was that after graduation, I went through this period of questioning. What do I believe? Why do I believe it? As a senior in college, I felt that I had really just been a sponge. I took in my professor's ideas, but what were my actual ideas? And I was finding that in college, I was surrounded by complete degeneracy. There was so much going on. Everyone was doing their own thing. They were doing whatever they wanted. It was just, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I found that there were so many decisions that I had made that, really put me in a bad position. And I felt that I had to take personal responsibility and be accountable for my life. I had to be accountable for what was good, the decisions that I made. And so I had to take a hard look at everything that was going on. And I decided that 99.9% of what was going on in my life was in reaction to my behavior. Yes, there was a small, minute portion that was out of my control, but most I could control. And once I made that step, I could no longer be a liberal black feminist. I moved further. I became a moderate Democrat. And it was this unveiling period. At the time, I was living with my father. I was living down in Texas. And I was learning more. I was getting red-pilled on MGTOW and these men who were walking away from women. They're saving themselves. And I said, okay, yeah, the feminists are crazy, but you're walking away completely. And so I started learning more and more about how men have been disenfranchised in society, how family court, divorce court, they're all in favor of women. And I had raised that issue as a feminist. Hey guys, we need to fight for more equality. You guys are just fighting for man-hating. And I would get side eyes, but everybody said you can be a feminist in your own way. I wanted to be the strict definition, what it says, equality. We raise everybody up. But I was very confused, and why everyone seemed to be on the train of man-hating. And my father and these MGTOW red pill guys explained it to me. And so I was like, okay, so gender isn't what I thought it was. Women can be oppressive and matriarchy can be bad. And so then I kept on chugging. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still going to stay in my moderate camp. I have these beliefs that are placing me more further right, but I'm okay. And so my husband at the time, he was my boyfriend, he is white, and he's specifically Irish and Scottish. And so I had my sneaking suspicions that he was voting for Trump, and I said 99.9% personal responsibility, accountability. Maybe this Trump guy isn't as bad. Maybe Trump isn't that bad. And I was like, I've been told he's this, he's that, but I don't trust CNN. I don't trust MSNBC. I don't trust any media. They're all liars. And so at the time, my boyfriend, now husband, he was introducing me to clips of what Trump has said. And I was like, that's not what CNN said he said. And I was like, CNN has been saying he's a racist and a white supremacist. Is he really? How come he has all these pictures with black people? How come black people liked him until the second he ran for office? So I was like, maybe Trump isn't that bad. And so from there, I was just like, oh, okay. And me and my boyfriend, we were developing in our relationships. And I was like, man, being a feminist was so exhausting. I couldn't relate to men. It was awful. it over there. Now it's, it's peaceful. I get along with people better. I don't have this, I don't have this victim mentality. And so then it all came to an head in March of this year, right before everything started happening with coronavirus. My boyfriend, I was pushing him to talk with me about race. I'm like, okay, what do you think about race? And he said, I don't think it really affects you that much in life. And to me, as a moderate Democrat, I'm like, whoa, it doesn't affect you? What do you mean? You do know that there's systemic racism against black people. And my husband looked at me, he's like, what about affirmative action? And I looked at him and I said, it was like kryptonite in me, because I knew deep down that affirmative action was bad. But no one on the liberal side had ever explained it well. They said, well, for hundreds of years, whites were the oppressors, and now we're just going to get a little piece of something. But the problem with that was, I did research in my university and found, affirmative action doesn't benefit black people. It actually makes it harder. People think that black people are diversity hires and you can't actually do the work. So it actually harms black people. And so I was like, oh, okay, you're right. And so he starts, well, what if it goes further than affirmative action? What if there's whole entire social justice policies that are actually harming black people? And I was, I'm like, well, you can't be that wrong. I mean, it's possible. They told us that Trump is a racist white supremacist for the past 4 years, and from all the evidence I've seen, he's not. So, would they really lie to us for 60 years? How would they get away with it? And then started realizing over 90% of black women, over 85% of black men vote for Democrats staunchly. Like, there's no deviation. And I was like, I think you're right. And so once I, started to soften, I said, you're right. Okay. So there's no systemic racism against blacks, but I guess there is a system against whites. Is there systemic racism against whites? And then at that time, my husband introduced me to the Holy Grail. I actually had one of his books on my bookshelf, but I never read it because I opened it and it said he was a Republican. So I'm like, I'm not going to read it. But the title of the book is Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Dr. Thomas Sowell. I saw it at a bookstore. I'm from the southern United States, so I grew up around white rednecks. And so the term black redneck, what is that? Am I a black redneck? I'm from the dirty South, like, what's up? And so, I got the book, but I didn't read it because I'm like, a black Republican, he hates black people. But, so, that's when I started watching Dr. Thomas Sowell's videos on YouTube, because there's so many. Go watch them right now, please, Dr. Thomas Sowell. And I, started looking at Dr. Larry Elder, I started looking at Candace Owens, I started looking at, black conservatives, and listening to what they were saying, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. And these people aren't emotionally unhinged. You see a lot of liberals, you're like, these people, I don't know if I need to take you to the psych ward. You're deranged. And if I had known how bad liberals actually were, I probably would have never identified as one of them. In the strictest definitions, I wanted to overcome oppression. I wanted people to have better opportunities in life. And so that started me down this path. And so at a point, I realized that conservatism and Christianity were inextricably linked. And at the same time, I was reading the Bible for myself, and I had always been, well, growing up, I was a non-denominational Christian, so I was like, okay, these things go together. And so my conservatism led me straight into Christianity. And in the Western civilization, there is no civilization without Christianity. Whether you subscribe to it or not, Christianity is the only religion that preaches love thy neighbor as thyself. And so the respect of human rights. Liberals and Democrats talk all the time. The left is always like, this is a human right. Your human rights come from God. Humans can't give each other human rights. I can't give you, oh, these are your human rights. No, there has to be a higher source that ordains these human rights. And so from there, I started non-denominational Christianity. I kind of drew my hands back because I'm like, this feels like you're scamming me and you're trying to get me to give you all my money. And and again, I will say that's probably a lot of churches out here. And but what I did is I started reading the Bible, and I said, well, where does the Bible come from? And what initially started it, and like the church doctrine, and that's how I found Catholicism. And it has really just revolutionized. It's really changed my life, coming to the fullness of the faith of Christianity. And these things are inextricably tied for me. And so on my channel, which you can subscribe, I'm going to be talking about the culture. I'm going to be talking about books, movies, my opinions and thoughts on different red pill movements, because there's a lot of truth out there. If you're gonna take the red pill or you're gonna take the blue pill. It's you can go as far as you want, but you got to come back up out of the rabbit hole, and that's what Christianity and becoming a Catholic, because I'm in the process of converting to Roman Catholicism. And so if you want to come with me on this journey, you want to learn more, what's it like to be surrounded by people who are married with a whole bunch of kids, as someone who's newly married, and learning more and more, leaving the degeneracy of academia. I would say do not trust any of your children to academics. They'll probably come out trained Marxists, as I was, and I broke away from that. So walk away from the Democrat Party, go independent, go Republican, go conservative, just leave. So thank you so much for listening to my walkaway story. My name's Nicole Baker, and I will catch you later. Bye!